What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. We'll break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with some big pieces of news involving the markets, what you should be watching for as time progresses. Before I begin to double this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks, and our friends very soon in just about 2 weeks. Anyways, for the market right now, SPY is continuing to pump. I personally thought that SPY might actually see a little dip before it tries to bounce, but instead this thing is actually trying to push higher. So with this little pump that's continuing, we have to kind of play based off our bullish projections from yesterday, and that is so far what SPY is doing. Now, the VIX is still in a very, very critical area. It has gapped up, but it has a big gap below to fill right over here. So if we lose this 20 EMA, it could dip lower, and that could once again be because the market is going to pump higher temporarily. So the VIX, it's not ready to officially break out quite yet, in my opinion. It's not ready yet, so it may take a little bit longer. There was a period where it took like 1 week for it to break out of the 12s, so it could once again hold down here for a little bit longer before the VIX gets that breakout and the market gets a rejection. So this kind of tells us that we're not ready yet for the market to basically get a big rejection. We're not there yet. The market may hold up for a little bit longer, so give it some time, and we're just going to be playing our levels and be very unbiased, at least for the time being. All right, so I'm going to talk about the market in more details a little bit later. Right now, SPY is trying to push, so is the QQQ. I'm going to show you what levels to watch for, at least in just a few minutes, but first want to talk about some data. So today is Monday, May 13th, 2024. As a reminder, at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we actually have Jefferson from the Fed giving a speech alongside Mester. Then at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the consumer inflationary expectations, followed by the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions at 11:30. So for the first 2 hours of market open, look for some volatility, especially at 11:30 a.m., and then we'll see what happens after that. Don't forget that for Tuesday, we have PPI coming out and Jerome Powell giving a speech, not to mention CPI on Wednesday, so we'll have to see how things go. Looking at what's going on with earnings, don't forget that for Monday, we have Legend Biotech and very, very minor ones, if anything. For Tuesday, we have Alibaba on the Home Depot and Sony, not to mention Walmart on Thursday. So we'll have to see how things end up moving, at least from here. Uh, Looking at Legend Biotech, the share price was up 9% on more narrow Q1 losses than expected, with revenue more than doubling. So pretty good earnings overall. On top of this, when it comes to news about the markets, I just want to say that we're at a pretty good place for the Dow Jones. It's actually had its best week of 2024 so far with a 2.16% gain. And we'll see if it continues, at least for the time being. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ are trying to continue to push for now, but we will wait and see what happens with Jerome Powell's speech and inflationary data, if that continues to affect the markets or not. On top of all of this, Walmart is once again announcing earnings alongside lots of retail, like I mentioned earlier. And then we had SoftBank announce its earnings overall. They had their first annual gain in 3 years. So it's a little bit of a nice piece of news, but that's pretty much it, at least for the market for now. The market is still continuing to pump, and we will see how things react from here. So for SPY, we're going to be watching this resistance right here at 522.6 to 523. If that breaks, our next target is to be all the way up where this wick is, just around the 524 area. So we have basically resistance at every dollar amount here because the 523 to 525 area tends to be very tight on SPY. So I think we could go a little bit higher from here. We could actually try to get very close to the all-time high, just under 525, as we continue to push. But watch resistance at 522.6. If we get rejected there, we have support at 521.5 and then 520. Overall, SPY is trying to uptrend, trying to push up very, very nicely. So I do see potential in it to go higher. But let me just make it very clear that resistance is still tough. So it's likely not going to shoot through everything. It might have to see a lot of shuffling. But for now, the chart is looking bullish, especially on our 4-hour time frame, as SPY is trying to break this resistance. So we're going to be watching to see if we break it. 523 is going to be a level to watch for. 523.8 to 524, then eventually 525, then all-time highs. If we get above 523, I think we might get very close to all-time highs as well. I think the market could continue to push for now, but the VIX does tell us that we are approaching some tight resistance and we're eventually going to top soon. So are we ready to top? Not necessarily. We're not ready yet for the top, so you have to give SPY more time. We will eventually top and reject, but we're not ready yet, so we have to give this a bit more time. For Tesla Tesla's trying to turn right here. Watch this 170 resistance. If we break this, look for 172, then eventually 173.29. If we end up dipping lower, watch support at 167.5, and then eventually 165. To me, it looks like Tesla might try to turn upwards and try to push all the way up towards 172. So I do see potential for this to try to break out and try to push a bit higher from here. For Nvda, we have resistance at 908. If this breaks, we could be pushing all the way up towards 920. And if we lose support at 900, look for 892 as support. In my personal opinion, Nvidia looks like it might try to push up towards 908. And we could go a little bit higher from here. I do see more potential in my opinion. This does look like a nice accumulation in inverse head and shoulders, so I could see a little bit more upside at least moving forward. For the QQQ, in my personal opinion, it looks to me like it's going to be testing 444 as the resistance. That is the high from Friday. If this breaks, I'll be watching 445.6, followed by 447 as the next resistance levels. Our support is also at 442. If that breaks, we also have 440 coming. Overall, the chart is looking more bullish. We're trying to break out here. So we could see an attempt to go a little higher temporarily. We're actually turning on our PPO. Could go all the way up to 445.67 to 447 first before we end up getting some kind of churn. Don't worry about the churn yet. It looks like we're going to attempt to go higher for now. Resistance is going to be kind of tough, so give it some time, and we will see how high we go and how we react to resistance. So for now, it looks like the chart wants to push higher, so give it some time. For Aapl, we're also kind of trading within this range. We could be looking for 186.5 if we break 185.5. We also have support at about 185. If that fails, let's look at for 184.25. If we lose 184, then it's going to be dipping back lower. If it breaks 185.5, we're going to be pushing higher for 186. As of right now, it looks like it wants to go a little higher towards 186 for the time being before we get some kind of reaction. Also notes that for Amazon's also it dipped a little bit towards 187. I told you if we lost this, look for 185. If we held this, look for a rebound. So we could slowly make our way back up towards 190, but don't forget resistance is very tough up there. So it might just kind of shuffle for the time being. And then for Meta, we have basically resistance at 478. We have support currently at 472. So we might shuffle for a bit and we'll see which way we break at least for the time being. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. The VIX is still not ready to really break out quite yet. In my opinion, we have a gap to fill below now. So that's another gap which shows that it might actually dip back down. It may continue to shuffle in this 12.5 area for an extended period of time before we get a true breakout. I want to see it basically break past the 50 EMA for this thing to break out, but we're not ready yet, and the market's continuing to soar. So for now, guys, we're just going to kind of shift things. I want to make it very clear the market is still bullish, still pumping for now. Things could shift later on, but we're not ready yet. The market still wants to pump on low volume, so we're just going to remain bullish for the time being. But watch resistance and see if we get a turn later on. Could take another couple of days, could take another week, so give it the time it needs. All right, so be patient, guys. I know the market can be very tricky during days like this, but always be adaptive and always be open-minded nonetheless, and always look at resistance levels just to be safe. Okay, so I thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys, and peace out.